Hey everybody, welcome back. We are the three Amiibros, and today we are going through Gundam.
All of it?
Well,
that's a lot of stuff
technically,
to go
actually, technically we are going through all of Gundam. So this is going to be a bit different than the usual format in the sense that we're going to do multiple games on this sort of playthrough. We're going to go through two. So right now this is the Gundam, Suit Gundam Federation versus Zeon. This is, I think, the first, at least the first console version of a Gundam sort of fighting game. Besides, like, you know, the traditional 2D fighter battle assault things. And this is a game that's kind of true to, like, really close to my heart. I really, really love it. It's probably the first game I've ever seen that does mech combat properly. And this game goes through the very first Gundam series entirely.
Yeah, we should point out that so we're going through a bunch of these versus games specifically, right? Because that's like its own series.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason why I wanted to do that was because it shows how the series has evolved. Because we're going to go through this Federation vs. Zeon and its more modern sequel, Gundam Extreme Versus. Also because this game is kind of very interesting in how it works. It works a lot different than any other fighting game, and I thought that this game is kind of like the Street Fighter 2 of mech combat games to me. And because it's a lot slower, I think it's best to like introduce this game and series and explain how it works better than just jumping into the modern sequel, which is really, really fast.
Yeah, I am somewhat familiar with these games, and I've never actually played any of them, but like I sort of get what they are. They seem to be pretty interesting. It's like kind of a weird, nuanced like these games sort of seem like if you picked them up at first, you'd kind of be like, oh, whatever, this is pretty easy. But like there's all this like weird nuance. Like I know that these games have at least in Japan have like a pretty dedicated hardcore following.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, this game is really, really fun. I used to play it a lot all the time on my PS2 when I was a kid. But yeah, we're just about to start the story mode. So we're going to go through the story mode of this, which is actually kind of long, and then we're going to go through the next two Extreme Versus after we're finished.
Jordan, you said this game gets mech combat, right? How would you compare it to, say, something like Zone of the Enders?
Well, I'll get to that in a minute, but I just want to explain how this works. So right now, you see on the top left, you'll see like the EFSF and Zeon thing and the red and green bars. So basically, what that is it's a health bar, but not for you. Your health bar is like in the bottom right corner where armor is. The health bar is actually for your team. So every time a unit on either side dies, depending on how strong that unit is, it takes a cost away from their health bar. So it's sort of like an economic sort of thing where you have to sort of manage like which of your units die and how strong your unit is, because if you die, if your unit is extremely costly like the Gundam here, then it's going to take out a chunk out of your health bar. Your team health.
So obviously that means that if you are like it's almost like a risk reward sort of thing, or kind of like it's like you could pick a mech that is really good, but you better be good at the game if you're going to do that, because if that mech dies, it's going to take a lot of points off. Am I right?
Pretty much. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Cool. That's
so
really
like
interesting.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, if your health goes down to 0, it kind of doesn't matter. What matters is how much your health your team has left and how much your thing costs.
So when you're playing through the story mode in this game, what happens when your mech is destroyed? Do you just automatically pick up any other mech that's on your team, or like
no? You respawn in the same mech.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. Another thing that is sort of tied to I'll get to what you were asking, Will, but another thing that's sort of tied with what you were saying is that this game's also the first and one of the only games I've ever seen to get space combat right. Because, look, in space, not everybody's on the same plane. People can be upside down, people can be any axis of rotation. But if you play most space games, like, everybody's basically sort of standing in front of each other. In this game, that's not the case.
This is reminding me of something, but I can't put my finger of...
Not the Ratchet and Clank space battles, right? Because
No,
I'm playing
no,
through 2 right now, and I'm really not digging some of those dogfights.
I'm thinking about... No, there's a game I'm thinking of where it's like you can pick your... You can choose, like, your height as you're going, because you're fighting in space or you're fighting in the air. So, oh, you know what? I'm thinking of, like the Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi games, which are not great, actually, but this does sort of remind me of that, at least in terms of how the movement works.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, the thing is, though, like, in space, you know, attacks can come from any angle, which is actually really cool, and you start, like, having upside-down space battles, which is kind of neat.
So how are you actually controlling here? Like, what are you doing to get
like, see, I just died, and all that health came from my team.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. But, well, I'm controlling it because basically you just move around, and because where you want to move is kind of oriented to whoever you have locked on, so you just sort of move towards them, and you double tap to sort of dodge, and you can switch your target to see where everybody is, which you often want to do because things can happen anywhere. And, yeah, you just sort of have to keep an open mind about, like, what can happen when you're in space, because it sort of controls really differently. And some weapons actually work a little differently, because, like, for example, bazookas work in space, but they don't exactly work as well as, like, say, a beam weapon. But at the same time, a beam weapon, like, takes long to charge if you run out of ammo.
So when you say something like a bazooka doesn't work that well in space, like, does being in space actually change the game fundamentally? Like, is it like you have to spec your guy out differently if you're in space, or you're going to want to?
Well, if you remember when I was picking my Gundam at the very beginning, like, it asked me, like, what's your space mobile suit, what's your ground mobile suit, and what's your weapon you want on it? Because some weapons do react differently to space, and some of them are maybe not that great. For example, like, right on ground, I'm using the bazooka. The bazooka is really nice. It explodes. It works probably better on ground than it does in space. That being said, beam weapons can actually shoot through it, and if it runs out of ammo, you basically are unable to use it for a long amount of time, but it reloads the entire clip of 15 shots. However, if you use a beam weapon, basically it only sort of recharges one shot at a time, which can be really, really annoying. So, yeah.
Makes sense. So, as you sort of alluded to in the beginning, I guess this seems kind of. I mean, this looks cool. I'm enjoying how this is going about, but it does seem a little slow, or maybe a little simple. Maybe it's just because you're good at it, so it looks like supernatural. Not supernatural, but natural a lot.
Well, I would say that it's more because I guess we're in the modern gaming era where everything is fast. Like, I mean, when I was a kid, this seemed fast to me. When I tried playing this for this channel, because I hadn't played it for like a number of years, I'm like, wow, this is really slow.
Right. I guess this does not seem as complex as I have been led to believe these games are. Like, maybe it took a couple entries for them to, like, get to where they are, or like, get to that phase. Is that accurate, or is there just, like, a lot of hidden depth that I'm not aware of?
There is a little bit of hidden depth. I don't really delve into it too much, but like, a lot of the hidden depth comes with exactly, like, who you pick as your unit. But because every suit doesn't work the exact same way. Some of them are very different in how they move and how they attack and how they react. Yeah, there is a somewhat of a meta or a strategy to go for it. But like, you see, like, right there, for example, like, he used a machine gun to destroy my bazooka shots.
Right. Is there a reason you picked, you went for the classic, what is it, it's the RF-79, is that right?
RX-78, I think.
Ooh,
no, it's the sort of, you know, the iconic one. The iconic machine of the Gundam series, and I said, oh, why not? Also, it's sort of like an all-rounder. Like, there's nothing it's particularly bad at. It just has a high cost, because it's the most powerful unit in the game.
Sure.
Yeah. There's one thing that I just want to say, like, if you have not been very familiar with the Gundam series, something that a little bit of trivia that you can use against or to tell your friends. Not all mobile suits are Gundams, but all Gundams are mobile suits.
Oh yeah.
Basically, yeah, all the giant robots are called mobile suits. They're just that's what they're called, and Gundams tend to be just some sort of like specialized super mobile suit. What makes a Gundam is kind of variable because it depends on like the spin-off or universe that it takes place in. So like in, I think the original Gundam, which this takes place in, the Gundam is made out of some sort of special alloy, which makes it a Gundam. Some series have it like, you know, it has an operating system that it says it's a Gundam, or some just call it a Gundam just because. It really depends on. Like,
I assumed it was just like the good. I thought it was just like that the good guys all use Gundams and the bad guys always use Saku or Doms or whatever.
In the original, yeah, but not in all series.
Yeah, so I am curious about how you feel it captures sort of the mech combat thing, because I have played a fair amount of games that are sort of mech games. I actually think there's this Dreamcast Gundam game that actually does a pretty cool job of it. I forget what it's called. It's like some really long, like very Japanese name. But you're actually like first person in the suit, and you're sort of a little bit more tanky, and that's kind of cool. There's this game I really like on PS2 called Rad Robot Alchemical Drive, which is a game where you are it's more of a like a Big O style mech, where it's like you're a kid who stands like on top of the mech or like remotely moves it around, and so your controller sort of becomes like a remote control, and you have to like control the like feet and hands individually, and it's like super fucked up but pretty cool when you get it. So how do you and yeah, I guess Will asked about Zone of Enders, which is a game that like I feel like because that game is like so fast, it's not super mechy. Other than that, you're floating around and you got guns, you got a sword, but it's sort of its own thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that it gets it right because it sort of makes a really sort of consistent fighting engine, where in the sense like everybody has. Think of it kind of like Street Fighter, where everybody has like, you know, a way to move, different sort of things they can do, but every character does it differently.
Sure.
Something like that, where you just have sort of like these characters, and it is basically a fighting game in a different form, and you just are able to sort of go in different environments and even just and pick different weapons sometimes, and just starts to strategically plan like how to move, how to attack, and how to just approach certain situations. And it's not like a single-player experience where everything's sort of specialized for like a certain sort of way to do it. Everybody can actually use the same sort of tactics, just with different characters. Plus, this game came out in like what, 2001 or 2000, so it sort of predates a lot of things.
I guess okay, but so yeah, all that stuff is obviously super valid. I'm curious about what makes that stuff feel mechy to you.
Because the thing is, though, like it feels mechy in the sense that really a lot of games that I've played have approached mech combat either really badly or in a very sort of weird way.
Can you give some examples?
I don't. Like, to be honest, like Zone of Enders, like I actually like Zone of Enders. But at the same time, though, like there's some things about how it worked that how it functioned I don't think really worked.
Have you played Zone of Enders 2 yet?
Go for it.
Not yet. But there's some things there's some things about Zone of Enders I just don't think worked, and it didn't really give you optimal control in certain situations, I guess, to me. So yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever played? So I guess the spiritual successor to this game. Have you played Virtual On?
Oh, I love that game.
So Virtual On is sort of like this game, but one-on-one, but like it seems like it's using a lot of the same concepts as these games are, or these games are borrowing a lot of concepts from Virtual On.
I love Virtual Lawn. Don't get me wrong. My only problem with Virtual Lawn is that outside of the arcade cabinet, that game controls like shit.
Oh no, you just gotta get the it's fine when you're in like double. If you got a dual joystick setup, it's totally fine. Like I remember on Dreamcast, it was really tough to control, but like now that it's been remade on 360 or like it's been up-resed or whatever, I don't know. The control's totally fine, but.
The last Virtual On game I played was Virtual On Mars, and that game I wanted to love that game, but it controlled terribly.
I'm pretty sure none of the. I mean, are there only those 2 Virtual On games? I want to say there's only those 2, and I think only
there's
the first
3.
one is. Oh, there's 3. Okay, I'm pretty sure that first one is the only one that's like well regarded.
Yeah, but and like outside, and I actually have like the PC version of the original Virtual On. It does not play well on PC.
Sure. That's probably a super old PC version, though, and it's probably kind of terrible.
Yeah. Fun thing, though, is like if you actually go in water, it actually makes it a lot harder to play, but there are some units that actually work very well in water. The Gundam is not one of them.
Oh, that's cool. So there is, like, you're using the environment here, I guess, a fair amount.
Yeah, like for example, like this guy that I'm fighting here, the Go, he actually is a close range type, and he has like a whip and a giant sword, so like, but like for example, the Gundam can't really outbeat it if it goes to a close range battle too well, but and those things are really good in the water. Yeah. Will, you there?
This is not a platformer. I am so confused.
You were so quiet.
No. This game looks really cool. I actually really dug the space combat, and it just looks like the game handles pretty well. Yeah. I'm even digging like the characters on the side when they pop up, like the animation style. Yeah, it brings it all together. I'm also not totally familiar with the Gundam style. Like I tried to watch, what was the one with the toys? The
Build Fighters.
Yeah, Build Fighters, and that was about as interesting as watching a Smash tourney played with Amiibos. I tried the original Gundam, couldn't get through the first episode, just started Mobile Suit Gundam today, and I'm actually really digging it.
Wait, which one?
Mobile Suit Gundam? It's like 00.
Gundam Gundam 00. 00 is actually is not bad. It's pretty good.
Yeah, the start of it like really got my attention, so I might actually pursue watching that one now.
Maybe we'll let's pick this up in the next episode because I would also like to talk about what Gundam to watch.
Definitely.